All right. So our pitch even went down a little bit since we seated it. So I'm gonna go back, make sure for no wrinkles again. Also making sure everything somewhat feels the same. I can't fully trust the feel, but kind of seeing if I can get in the ballpark. You know, right now we're not looking to get everything in tune right away. We're just looking to be in the ballpark. All right, you hear the pitch going up. All right, I have a whole lot of different sounds coming from each lug. And notice I'm not using a drumstick right now. I'm just using my finger. I just want to get a real low sound so I can hear the pitch coming off. And I'm using this cross method. Hear the difference? We have two different pitches. So the goal is to get everything as close to the same pitch as possible. So let's start moving around in this cross method. Go higher. Now, here's a little secret that I like to use. This lug here, for instance, works in the same kind of direction as this lug. So if I want the pitch to go up here, a lot of the times, I'll tune from this lug. Hear that? Listen again. So I start there. I want these to match up. All right, you see how it's going up and down. Right now I'm using my ear. I'm listening to the pitch, and this is just going to come from experience too. Just, you know, don't be afraid to, you know, turn some lugs and find out what happens. You know, this is a real patient process to learn how to be a good drum tuner. So right now, let's see where we're at with at least these lugs. All right, we're pretty close. So let's give it a check now. All right, we're already starting to sound a little bit more like a drum. Let's actually use a drumstick right now and see where we're at. Cool. So, for all intents and purposes, we have a pretty good drum sound right now. So let's fine tune just a little bit. You got to tune for the sound of the music you're playing and also the sound of the drum. This drum's smaller, so it's going to have a little bit higher pitch naturally. But it's also a really deep drum. This is 7 inches deep, 13 by 7. So it can also have a little bit of body or depth to the drum. So I kind of want to see how much character I can get out of this drum. So I'm going to go for a high sound and make it a little bit gutty or deep on the bottom. So let's tune it up just a little bit more. Notice it doesn't take much. A little turn of like that much where you can't even really see how much I'm moving it could affect the whole entire drum. So let's see where we're at now. All right, our pitch is going up. Drum's sounding pretty good. I haven't touched the bottom head right now because I have this one pretty much where I like it. The bottom head, or the resonant head, we have two heads on here. We have the top head or the batter head, and the bottom head or the resonant. Notice this one's a clear head, and what's giving this the snare drum sound is the snares literally vibrating against the head. You can see if I turn this drum off now, and I use the strainer here, pull it down, you can actually see the snares coming on and off of the head. So if I have it off, these are still pretty tight. There we go. Really, it sounds like similar to like a tom-tom. So when we put the snares on, that's what gives us the snare drum sound. As far as tuning the bottom head, I kind of use the same principles. I like to tune it with the snares off usually, but for the most part, I like this head pretty tight. You know, still have a little bit of tension. The head's gonna have some play, but pretty tight, and I want the pitches to all be the same, and or at least as close as possible. I don't necessarily tune to intervals like a lot of guys. I get the drum to a point to where I feel it's speaking good for itself. Like, we can't say that, all right, well, a snare drum should be tuned to a G, because not all snare drums are gonna sound the same, and not all head combinations are gonna make it sound the same. So you kind of have to learn the drum and be flexible. I want it to sound like it's breathing well. You know, it's an organic instrument, and not like it's being choked. If it has a choke sound, it might be too tight, or your snares, which are adjusted, the tension here, may be too tight against the drum. If I loosen them up, you're hearing more snare sound. If I tighten them up, getting pretty tight here, it's harder to push this strainer up now. Hear the difference in sound we're creating already? To me, that sounds like a choked drum. So I'm gonna loosen it up. I want those snares vibrating comfortably. Maybe a little bit more, not much. Cool. So we're getting a decent sound here. Now, toss it back up on the stand. See what we're getting. Awesome. Now, for a little bit of muffling. There's a lot of different schools of muffling. Some people like to use moon gels or all sorts of different devices, putting little bits of cotton on the drum, towels, all sorts of stuff. I actually just prescribe to the philosophy of tape, but not just any type of tape. I find duct tape is really sticky, and it's also really reflective. If you're an audio guy, you know, I can kind of hear the reflectiveness of duct tape sometimes. And electrical tape doesn't stick well, and I find gaff tape is the best. So this is just gaffer's tape. You can find this at a studio store, or you can order it online, and most major retailers also have it. It comes in a lot of different colors. It's more of a fabric-based tape, and the cool part about this tape too is it allows for quick cleanup. So if I want to take it off the head, it's not going to pull all the coating off and leave like a real sticky residue. And what I like to do is take a little piece of gaffer's tape and place it on the head. This is going to muffle it just a little bit. And we'll put it up here. Kind of funny, I don't want it on the rim too much. See, with the gaff tape, it comes off nice and easy, which means you got to watch it a little bit when you're playing. Sometimes it could fly off, but usually stays on pretty good. And sometimes you don't even need this much tape. Now let's see if the drum sound has changed. Fine details, but we got a drum head on. You're ready to go. The drum head sound is going to change as you play it. We're going to keep having to adjust. You're going to have to go back and tune. And like I said before, this can be a long and tedious process, and it can actually start to be a little bit annoying, but learn to have fun with it. Don't get frustrated. You're not going to break anything by turning these lugs. Just make sure you have the time to sit down, get to know the instrument, and use methods like the cross method. Tune from the lug on the opposite side to help you get your sound. Match it up and get a good drum sound that you can bring back to your band, or your school band, your rock band. Go to your studio sessions and be able to tune fast. You know, as with playing, it just takes practice. So have fun doing it, and keep stopping by musictrainer.com and enjoy.